Welcome to the Loveland Laser Tag podcast. Right now, we are on our way back from East Coast Tournament 2017, hosted by Revolution Laser Tag in Clinton Township, Michigan. Our absolute favorite site. They are pretty cool, and I enjoy them.
Yeah.
Hey, Lamau.
This is the Fear Turkey.
Memosaurus.
Dr. Feelgood.
Sergeant Tucker.
I do have.
And I'm part of the team.
You already introduced yourself, I thought.
I did. I'm like, this is Loveland.
Yeah.
Or Loveland.
And I'm Luke. That's what people call me.
Jesse doesn't even.
So we're gonna tell you the story of a crazy adventure of a bunch of crazy kids who set out on a journey to play some laser tag and instead almost died.
Like 4 times.
Like 4 times.
Like 2 or 3 times, yeah. Seriously.
Have you ever heard the tale of Darth Mischief the Wise?
Jeez.
It's not a tale.
It was quite tragic.
It's not the tale of the Revolution.
It's not a tale. It's not a tale that Revolution would tell you.
Some say he could bring a dead medic back into the game.
Yeah. It was ironic. He could save others, but not himself.
Because he kept letting
That's
himself
so
go live
funny.
straight.
He kept getting nuked out of the game.
Twice.
Nice.
The subtle reference of that, too.
Twice.
Well, it started off nice.
So
Twice.
I'll just give a little backstory. Myself, Fear Turkey, and Sergeant Tucker have all been to a few tournaments across the states, but this was Memosaurus and Dr. Feelgood's first tournament, and we were joined by the incredible Pint Size from Detroit as our 6th player. I also got to give a lot of credit to Venom, who played quite a few games and won a few victories with us. I think he deserves to be considered a part of the team as well.
Dude,
I'll have
Venom.
nom on that.
Yeah.
Dude, Venom's my boy.
My boy.
I love me some Venom.
Dude, I love seeing him. I'm so sad he's not going to be coming to West Coast.
I like playing against Zach more than having him on my team, but
That's
yeah.
Because it's so fun because you can just screw around with him and still take it seriously at the same time.
It actually makes me angry that you guys let me call him Mike for 2 days and none of you corrected me. Even he didn't. He was in on it. He was like, I was just letting you do it.
No, his name's not Mike. It's Zach.
Who is Mike?
So
Somebody's name is Mike.
I don't know who Mike was.
the 5 of us all packed into Tucker's car, and we loaded it up with
Oh yeah, Beans.
food and Michael's beans and Halloween costumes and too many backpacks. And we got about 6 hours into the drive. We made it all the way to the lovely state of Nebraska.
Which,
Sorry.
as a backstory to that, has attempted to kill us 3 of the 3 times we have driven through it.
Yes, coming to Nats 2015 in Syracuse, we got to meet the lovely Tornado Thunderstorm in Nebraska. Boy, was she a beauty.
I ate a gas station to the face. That was a good one.
Yeah.
Every time I hear you say lovely,
the
it's
subway
like
building,
really
like
sarcastic.
So, as we tickled the pickle of adventure, we began to pile into Joe's car. All too many backpacks, 1 too many Halloween costumes, and 1 gigantic cooler. On our way we went. 30 miles out of Kearney, the wheel begins to shake violently and completely busts off. That's right, all of our nuts exploded. Every single 5 of them.
can we
One of the-
stop
one of the-
making that joke?
One of the tires, not the steering wheel.
Yeah.
That'd be really bad.
Oh yeah. that would've been
And then the
awful.
stud broke in half, and the wheel popped off, and we should have died. So it's pretty cool that we're still doing this podcast, I guess.
The car essentially just began skidding 70 miles an hour on the highway on one of the wheels. It was just grinding against the street. And so we just quickly pulled onto the side, and it was not a good time. we all got out of the car, and the wheel was literally detached from the car.
We stood there for a few minutes. We were pretty done.
I think all of us were just looking at each other, hoping one of us knew what to do, but really none of us were prepared for that.
We ended up solving the problem a lot faster than we should have, though. I think.
The reason is because of the highwaymen.
Well, yeah, we had some highwaymen come up, like they were doing didn't they say they were doing volunteer work or whatever?
Yep.
Yeah. Two wonderful gents.
Road assist.
Yeah, they were just a couple of guys that came over and helped us out, attached the donut to the front of the car, and we drove super, super slow to Kearney. But yeah, it was kind of crazy.
That was a town full of false hopes.
It was an experience.
Yeah.
It was.
Unfortunately.
It wasn't like what happened that was bad. Like it was, because we almost died. It was when and where it happened. It happened like Saturday night. Okay, like around 3:30ish or
4:30.
4:30, like 4:30ish on a Saturday night in Nebraska. So everything closes at 5 p.m. and nothing's open on Sunday. And we're trying to make the tournament by Monday morning. So we kind of, we're in a bit of a pickle. I'll just put it that simple.
We were now in the pickle we tickled for adventure.
Yes.
Yeah, pretty much.
The adventure pickle.
Swallowed us whole.
Yep.
So, all the stores were closed, and the next day was Sunday, so none of them will be open the next day. So there's no way to get the rim that we needed to repair our tire. Luckily, Fear Turkey had a lot of ridiculous luck in what happened next.
Oh, is it my
He
turn?
summoned the Fear Turkey clan.
He
Pretty
gobbled
much.
as loud
A
as
gaggle.
he could. Yeah. The
gaggle
gaggle
of
of turkeys
turkeys.
appeared.
AKA his father and some of his mechanic friends showed up, and they spent 3 hours-ish out in the cold trying to repair our tire, and they brought what was almost a perfect match to fix it.
So the
5 millimeters.
Tucker's car.
5 millimeters.
I'm just gonna real quick give a little detail about it. Tucker's car is a Ford, all right, and Ford likes to change their bolt patterns on their tires. Now Tucker's car is a 05.
07.
Tucker's car is an 07, all right, and they changed the bolt pattern in 2012. Well, the tire that Josiah's, or that the Fear Turkey's dad brought, was a 2013 tire. So it was off literally by a few millimeters. And we were all pretty salty about that, because we really thought that we were being saved.
Is this another reason to put a list of things under why Ford sucks as a car dealership?
I mean, we can if we really want to, but
I'm thoroughly over my Ford, to be entirely honest.
I'll trade you. I'll trade you my car for yours.
Yeah, no, I won't take that deal.
My car's more of a longboard, but
Yeah, I was gonna say.
it's pretty fair. It's a fair trade.
It
think.
gets you where you're going, but I don't know how
Longboard will
long.
never run out of gas.
True,
It
you won't
gets
have
him
to
where
pay-
it's going. That's more
But it
than
does
we
get
can
you
say
injured
about
a
this
lot.
car.
It gets you injured a heck of a lot more.
What did Dylan even
I
say?
can't wait for Pollock's death in the Jeep to do the death wobble and
Yeah, Pollock's Jeep is gonna actually crash and burn.
But anyhow, we're getting off the topic. No, and so it was off by like a freaking couple of millimeters, and so we're sitting there in the cold, and we're all just kind of like, well, what now? And his dad's like, well, we can go back to your aunt's place, we can all stay there for the night, and you guys can get a rental. And we were like, oh, okay.
Hey, the rental was my idea.
Was it? I thought it was originally his
Oh,
idea,
no.
and then
No.
His idea was to go into a junkyard and steal a tire.
oh yeah, right.
Or drive the entire 900 miles
On
on
a
the
donut.
donut.
Yeah, I remember that. He was like, yeah, you could. I once made it from Alaska to New York on a donut, and we were all just kind of like, oh. And so all of us
Are
were
you
just
sure
like,
about that?
do we want to actually do this? And then we got some sleep on it, and 4 of the 5 of us were like, what were we thinking? But, and so in the morning, Mischief and Turkey just started looking for basically rentals. And fortunately, Mischief happened to have a credit card with him that could get us a rental. Otherwise, we were not going to get a rental. We would have to wait 3 days. And so the tournament was basically over if we didn't have a credit card. So, very big props to him for that, having that credit card.
High five for the trivet luck.
Yeah.
So I got my first rental car. I will tell you now, spoiler alert, we did not destroy it. I know that makes the story even more interesting, but thankfully, we got us a nice little car with great mileage, and we were able to zoom on out of Nebraska and make it all the way to Detroit with not
an
so
hour
great
to
timing.
spare before Monday.
We arrived at Deaths to All, who was the tournament coordinator, right? That's his title.
That's too well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all.
No, I mean, he was the tournament coordinator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's the tournament.
Yeah. So,
Interesting.
and also one of the managers at the Revolution Laser Tag, and he hosted us for the night, meaning whatever was left in the night, which was 2 hours of sleep. So we all stumble out of the car, delirious and tired, and fall asleep mostly on his floor, and wake up 2 hours later to go in for our first practice games before the tournament began.
We were supposed to get 5, but we only got 4. That's because we were a little behind. But
To be fair, it was the one day of the tournament everyone showed up at 10 a.m.
yeah.
Otherwise, we would have been perfectly fine.
Yes, props to anybody who is listening to this that showed up to help Loveland practice at 9 a.m.
Yeah.
At the Merc team.
Yeah, at mostly the Merc team,
At
but
most
at
of
the
the
rest of the
team.
players too.
My
There were
boy
quite a few.
Panda.
There were quite a few Detroit Bees. I know Paul and Nick were both there to help us practice.
Paul was a Detroit A team.
So is Baden.
Baden was there. Baden was there.
I don't think he played.
He didn't play with us.
Baden
no.
was just looking at us.
Baden was just kind of watching us, like, "What are you all doing?"
He was like, "Why are you here?
Yeah.
You guys should not have come. Your tire exploded off of your
All right.
car."
So first match though was us versus Mercs, right? That was our very, very first match.
Yes, we started with Mercs, and then we went to Armageddon, Detroit A, Syracuse, and Detroit B. Then we did it again, so we can go
Then we
that
played the
order.
Mercs one more time before the day end.
So start in that order.
Yeah. So the mercenary team was literally just a team of people from random sites thrown together. They were, in my opinion, the true Armageddon. But it's kind of mute. Like, I don't even know what I'm trying to go with that word. It kind of doesn't matter at this point. They did really, really well. They had Panda Fufu, and he put in some serious work as commander for them. And he was doing phenomenal, in my opinion. He was always pushing onto me and Pint Size, who were the resupplies for our team. But
My boy Panda.
I could not trade with him for the life of me in any game, except for when he played Scout maybe 2 times. I could not trade with him at all. He just was always there to get me.
My favorite part was that Dr. Feelgood couldn't tell me and Panda Fufu apart because we both had about the same build, a beard, and a backwards hat on.
To be fair, you guys do look very similar.
And in the black light,
That's racist.
one of us would come around the corner and he would sometimes just friendly fire me thinking I was Panda, or he wouldn't tag Panda because he thought he was me.
Yeah, okay. Like, literally 5 times while we were fighting the Mercs, he straight up ran up on me, and I was like, oh, sweet, Luke's here to help. And then he would come up and I'd go down, and then Rachel would go down, and then they would scream at me, and I'd be like, oh, that's not Luke.
So I had to take my hat off in the games he was playing.
That's a hard way to find out too. That's rough.
It
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
rough.
but,
Because, like, I just saw, he would always come around the corner already down, and I just look at him in the peripheral of my vision, and I thought he was Luke. I was like, sweet, I have my heavy now.
It was a really dark arena.
it
Oh
was-
my god.
Until they put that light and underpass as well, that was such a sketchy turn to
I
have.
ran it
yeah.
and I ate it right into that wall like
Did you
twice.
see the bruise Pint Size got on her hip while she was going through because of it?
Yeah,
And they
I
finally they were like, yeah, maybe we should put a light in there.
I popped myself in the chin with my phaser and dazed myself because there's a spot on the bottom floor where there's a bunch of these really like they're fake pipes basically, and they're glowing super bright green, and in the black lights it really shines at you and it really takes over your vision. And so I walked up and I was looking at it. I was like, ooh, that's kind of cool. I don't know where I am. And I saw this little hallway, and so I started going down it. But there's just this sudden, like, weird wall, just that kind of just, like, guts out of nowhere. And I just plastered myself right on top of it. And I was just like, all right, I hate this arena.
Yeah.
I'm done.
Yeah, no, this.
I think for our
this
practice
arena
games,
was-
that's pretty much how we all learned. Because I remember I kept running into that one wall right by neutral that they were like, that wall's not
Oh,
even supposed
yeah.
to be there, to be fair to you. But I was just like, I bumped into it like twice, like physically, and then like 3 or 4 more times afterwards when I was going to get that red base. I was just like, this wall here is so irritating, and I'd have to go all the way around it.
This arena was just like terrible. I like how Mischief described it. At Loveland, our arena is there's walls, and then there's windows that you know where they are, and they're small, and you can duck below them. But at this arena, it's more like walls made of windows. Like
That was completely turkey.
That was a me quote. I was
it
about to be
you?
like,
All
boy,
right.
Boy.
I thought it was him.
y'all
that's
are stealing my
completely
mood,
Hey.
my mojo here.
I'm not that smart, Venusaurus.
Oh, all right.
That
Don't hate on yourself that much, but all right.
Stop
But
that.
Fear Turkey said that. Anyways, it's so true. There was windows everywhere. Like anywhere you turn, there's a window, and there's like you could get shot from anywhere. It was super annoying.
And then, so we wound up going 0-2 to the Mercenaries, right?
We went
pretty much.
Oh,
0-4,
yeah.
dude.
Well, we went overall, but that match specifically.
Yeah, these matchups are pretty predictable up until we get to the actual eliminations.
And so Geddon was our next matchup. And I was having a lot of fun with Juan that game.
Yeah, I
To be
don't want to talk
real
about it too
honest.
much. These first few games, we were just like getting our butts handed to us,
Geddon was-
learning how it works.
I was trading with Micro a few times. I was pretty proud of myself. I
On
dodged
that
one of his
first game.
missiles.
You were complaining about it. I remember you came out. You were like, "Oh gosh,
So
I can't."
Yeah, I
One
traded
thing-
with him a few times, but then I
one thing
couldn't.
I do want to highlight actually during that game, that first match against Geddon, we were on red ramp and I was the ammo, and I think Pine Size had gotten around the corner, and so it's me, Dr. Feelsgood as the scout, and then Micro comes up on us as the heavy, I think he was, and he looks at me and kind of ignores me and goes to Dr. Feelsgood, and he starts to get his missile lock. And so, unbeknownst to Micro, we had had a full week of practice about just this situation. Because we were like, you guys are going to get missile locked a lot. You guys are going to learn how to dodge this week. And so, Dr. Feelsgood runs up to
I
him and
ran
starts
up
doing the
on
dodge.
Micro.
And Micro apparently
Hold
literally
up.
goes,
Hey,
oh yeah, go ahead.
hey, why can't I not tell this? I'm
Why?
the one that did it.
Yeah, but you're interrupting.
Triggers.
I ran up on Micro, I turned my shoulder up to him, and he was just like dumbfounded. I invented that as I ran off, and then he shot me in the back. But like,
He still got one out of you.
yeah,
Yeah.
he wasn't ready for.
Well, then also because of that, he didn't get the missile off on you, and then the shot on me, and then another shot potentially on you. He completely ignored me because he was so busy trying to get that missile on you that he got the shot onto you and missed the second target in essence. Because of the fact that I was already around the corner by the time you were like, haha. So, but that went poorly. We went 0-2 again. That was pretty bad.
Geddon was the number 2 seed that tournament. Like that was rough.
And then we played.
We did take them. We did push them though. Like they had to go 100% on us, or we would have won that game.
Yeah.
Like that first game and the second game maybe even.
Was the second one that we
the second one was
cheated
the
the
one.
crap out of him?
We didn't-
That was the next day.
That was the next day.
Oh, that was day 2.
Yeah.
They were not happy with us.
Detroit A came next. I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, we basically fought Venom and Baden, and that was pretty much that.
So
I traded with Venom a lot. We would tag each other because I played Commander that game, and me and Venom would just trade. We could not push past each other.
We didn't play Commander until the second day.
I thought, oh yeah, that was the second day. And that's when I traded with Venom.
So it was kind of
Second day is
bugs.
when it gets good.
The only wall that had that didn't have any windows in it in that arena was literally Baden. And so their heavy weapons was just like, oh, you want to get my resupplies, huh? Get out of here. I don't want nothing to do with you. Bah!
Get up on out of my
And then
personal
he was
space.
like, oh, You're out of shots. I guess I'll just go attack your resupplies, and then we just died. It was not ideal.
He'd basically just pick up your turkey and throw him from the 3rd floor. It just wasn't.
Just yeet.
He stands 7 feet tall, and he's like, "Here, have a missile. Here, you're gonna try and dodge. Sorry, that sucks. That's rough, man."
He's also extremely quick.
He like giggles about it.
For someone as tall as he is, he's so fast. Like, you would not expect someone to be able to get that low as he can, as well as move as rapidly through the arena as he can.
Baden's a big boy.
Especially with all those walls, the way that they're set up.
Yeah.
It feels like you have to stop
Oh
every
my
2
God.
feet to do a zigzag for yourself to get further forward.
I hate the zippers.
And it felt like he never lost momentum on those zigzags, so...
The zipper walls.
I'm actually gonna be so fast in our arena after dealing with that. Like, John's just staring off into space, triggered beyond belief.
Well, no, here's the thing. After the 3rd day, I was able to move through that arena flawlessly. I was not like pulling on any of the walls or anything like that, bracing myself. I was just flying. I mean, like, I was gone.
You yeeted,
Dude.
up to that red corner after.
You also
his
started
first
yelling.
couple
That was
days.
pretty nice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was
yelling
trying-
is the wrong word. Screaming was more like it, and it was nice to finally be able to hear you.
I was trying to yell those. Well, the first day I couldn't because, you know, I was on 2 hours of sleep. The second day I was just like, my legs hurt.
You were telling us you were yelling, but you were full of lies. I heard you on
I
day
totally
3.
was yelling.
Oh, but day 3 you were
Well,
yelling.
remember he figured
I
out the
think day 3 I was just triggered that we couldn't do anything, so.
he figured out the trick, and it's that you have to put your head up at the ceiling in order
Yeah.
to make the sound carry, because there's so many walls in that arena.
Walls with holes.
Yep.
Walls with holes. Holes made of walls.
And then it was Syracuse next, right? Mischief.
Cuse was a little bit weird.
Hi.
Yeah. Welcome back.
He dozed off.
We know you're tired. He is actually, to give some info into that if he stops talking, he had a 13-hour drive out there because he was the only one who could drive the rental, and then a 12-hour back that he just got done with, so he's
Okay.
he's toast.
I'm honestly just waiting until the 2nd day because we lost all of our games pretty hard until
Detroit
the
beat.
2nd day.
We stopped
we beat Detroit B.
We beat Detroit B.
We towed him.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay,
It's your-
I know. So we got to Syracuse, and I started learning how to play heavy a little bit. Amy and Beans were trading. It was good. That's all I really got to say.
Beans was getting spicy with you. He got in your face when you were reffing. He was like, "You are making me so angry."
No, that
Because
was-
he just could not pass you, it felt like.
Yeah, I was starting to learn how to get proper trades, playing proper heavy. But I was still really playing sort of at my choke points and backing myself up against my resupplies, and I wasn't taking any control of the arena. So we were still having a lot of problems just sending out our 2 scouts and commander to do all the heavy lifting. Get it? I'm the heavy. I don't know how those games went for you guys.
It was a really weird arena because you would have, it seemed like a lot of aggro heavies on those teams in that arena,
Oh,
just
yeah.
because they could get away with it because of all the
Micro,
windows.
Baden.
Baden would sit in the tower and get resupplied from there, and I was like, that's genius.
Yeah.
And he'd be able to control the other half of he'd be able to control the entire arena from that tower. That tower is broken. It was broken because not only can you A, see the entire arena, and B, it's a wonderful choke point, but C, it has a base right in the middle of it that you can infinitely reset off of, and it's dumb.
I loved that base so much when I was against Beans.
Oh yeah, when you
Holy
when,
smokes,
when
I
you
was
can
resetting the crap out of them.
when you can take advantage of it, it's beautiful. But then it happens to you, and you're like, ah!
Yeah. No, I was holding off a commander, Beans, by
Yeah.
myself as a scout.
I-
With that base was broken.
I was
There
taking
just constant back and forth.
I was taking Panda and Brett just using that base.
It
That was when you were heavy, right?
Yeah, with that game I played heavy, and then I got massacred because I ran out of shots.
Yeah, that's right.
And I ran out of shots because I was putting so many into Panda and Brett and that base. It was beautiful.
There's this thing on the side of your packs, all right? It's called a speaker. Every once in a while, it's going to say,
Josiah?
"Hey, warning,
Josiah, we're not
Live,
doing this.
low.
We're not doing this.
Wait,
Shots low.
You can tell when you're low on lives?
Swear to God.
This is true.
No, he's talking
Then you
about
can
himself.
avoid the nukes.
Yeah.
Really?
You what?
That would have been helpful to know.
Yeah, I just kind of came back for a resupply, and I was like, you know, I'm probably good.
I'm probably
So-
good.
I'll just
Fine.
take one.
So we got OT'd, and then we played Detroit B, which was the one team everyone predicted us to beat. And it was interesting actually playing against them because they did not play standard.
Day
very
one, they
much-
played standard.
Detroit B had the
Today.
hardest time out of everyone during the double round robin, just because they had a lot of newer players and their more experienced players were playing resupply, and you could just tell they were new to the tournament scene.
It didn't help that their team
But-
captain was a quitter,
well, and then not to mention, so Detroit
Was it team
B
captain?
Jesse.
originally had
Jesse
Death
forfeited.
all 6
Yeah, I
of their
know. I didn't
members.
know he quit.
Yeah, he completely quit. He dropped from the tournament.
Well,
Detroit B had all 6 members, and then like 2 days beforehand, one of them got into a car accident, and then the other one's ear, like the week before, had gotten an infection to where like they could barely hear anything, so they would have been no use in the arena. And so those 2 players dropped, and so it was Death to All who had experience, and then his 3 new rookies who had never played in a tournament before, and he had to constantly keep picking up mercenaries to help his team, and so it was just. It was a rough time for them because they never really had a solid lineup almost.
And then Wolfman showed up,
Bad.
and we died.
Wolfman showed up and then games
Wolfman
started
showed up
going
and did
well
some
for them.
work.
not there yet.
Not there yet.
But he was there the first day.
Not for any
towards the
important
end.
things.
Well, that's fair.
That's how they found out that D-Rock should not have been on heavy.
Yeah, Wolfman showed up. He was like, yeah.
He was like, and then he left.
To be fair, D-Rock did some work on me, but then again, I was an idiot, so...
D-Rock.
Here's the thing. Here's one of the games that they did. They were trying completely out of the world strategies.
We're not there yet.
We're not there yet.
Just
Was
want to
it?
go in order because
Yeah.
all good stuff happens on day 2.
Was it
Yeah.
2?
We're not there yet.
It was
Oh,
day
we're
2.
still on-
Yeah.
So,
Still on day 1.
end of the day, we get to play the Mercs again. At this point, we got our butts handed to us 4 times. Then got to play Detroit B, who they were having a hard time with the 2 Mercs situation. And then we got to play the Mercs again, and it did not go well for us the second time. At this point, we were still on 2 hours of sleep.
We didn't have any
And
refs.
There were no refs on the red ramp because everyone just sort of left the building for the night and didn't care anymore. But, or was that during the finals?
Nope, that was both.
That was
Those
both.
times.
There were several times we had like no refs on red because everyone was just like, well, I don't want a ref. I want to sit down.
Anyways, there was a really bad situation because of how tired I was where I was defending on the red ramp and Panda was pushing me. And so he gets in and I tag him down. He runs all the way back up and I have to follow his trail up to see him. And then he holds his phaser out in the middle of the hallway, just like all cheeky. Now, I know it's illegal to shoot him because I'm on his trail, but 2 hours of sleep, Luke, thinks that if I back up 10 feet away from him, then it's okay to shoot him. It wasn't. I got penalties and laughs from all sides, including me. It was pretty funny.
Panda did that penalty bait on me too, and
And
I
then he
was
did it on
so
you
mad.
the
Oh, yeah, he
I
got
was
both.
so mad.
He got both of you with it, is what they were saying, and they were just like, "Why? You watched the first one get penalized, and then they were like, you took a shot, Dr. Feelgood, and so you got penalized." And they were like, "Why? Just let it go."
Because I switched you for heavy that one game.
That was not a good game.
They trashed us 0-2 again. I don't know if you guys have any stories from that.
I got pushed in the mud. I was getting one-handed.
Oh yeah, that was fun.
Yeah.
Other than
red-
I learned how to fight
Their
for
heavy
red ramp
weapons
that
was
day.
kind of
That's it.
Their heavy weapons was kind of cheeky. He was tagging through illegal shots and just like using one-handed, and it was a little dirty. He got caught eventually, but like they had this scout who would activate rapid fire, and then he would just like shoulder pop us, and it was just like It was super.
I know.
It was super hard to play against because they like the refs did not care at all. They were like looking at their shoes 90% of the time if they were in there, and the rest of the time there were no refs in there. So it was like,
that's quite the exaggeration, by the way. I congratulate all the Syracuse players for continually trying to ref and get people going. But
talk about day one.
Yeah, there were refs. It wasn't that bad.
Beans wasn't in there. We only had 7 refs on the first one.
I don't like pooping on all the refs. People tried.
Well, it was more of just like no one wanted to do it, which is fair. Reffing is not fun, and when you hand a penalty to a player, sometimes those players get a little tilty and they come like yell at you, and you have to hand them another penalty because they yelled at you. But like that doesn't mean we can just all stop reffing. So like it just sucked. But yeah, day 2 was a lot better in my opinion. It was much closer at least.
Yeah, so we go home. We all get a good night's rest finally. But instead of waking up all energized like we thought, we just woke up really sore. And I don't think it helped.
Josiah looked at me and he went, I don't want to do any more verticals for the rest of the tournament.
Well, I said I was done. I put me on medic.
Fair Turkey Fair Turkey woke up, rolled me over, woke me up, and he was like, I don't want to do any more verticals. Can you be commander? I was like, nope.
Nope.
We started with the Armageddon, and that was cool. That was fun.
They were definitely awake. We were definitely not.
That hurt.
Okay, green side, we did not do well against Armageddon. But
We didn't do
when
side.
we were red, we had such good control of the arena that even though we were cheating scum and got like 6 penalties, if you take away those penalties, we actually outscored them.
Hey, I got no penalties that game.
So
I got 2.
no, because
You got one. 'cause You jumped
you got
in front
one.
of Mike,
He got Dr.
It wasn't a
Fields-
real one.
yeah, yours was, but you got penalized for it. Is what I'm saying.
No,
You
I
got. Yeah, you
It
got
was-
you
it
got
was
zapped
a-
once.
I
Dr.
swear.
Fields got zapped, and then Mischief got zapped twice.
He has the picture, I swear.
Well, then maybe it's Mimisaurus because 3 penalties were on our side.
I'll
There-
straight up admit to being penalized about half the games I played. It's okay.
Well, that first day you earned 7 because you were so tired that you were just
I kept
doing
making
most
like
of it by
tiny little
accident.
mistakes. I like accidentally missiled a player from the window, and Venom shot me. And I'm like, Venom, my chest is in the window. What's wrong? And he's like, it's okay, buddy. Let me show you what you did wrong.
Yeah.
Just like little things like that.
I like me some Zach.
I like to be. He's
I think
fair,
I got like a total of
but
3.
hard.
3 penalties.
3 penalties.
Better than
Two
me.
I got
two of
4.
them were trails that I didn't even know about. Like I just ran in, zapped someone, and then I got penalized. I was like, oh, all right, cool, and then ran away. I was just kind of running everywhere.
So, and then after Geddon was Detroit A again, right? Yeah, that went even worse than the first time, I think.
No, I think it was about the same.
No, we
Actually,
we
I
held
think it was a
our
lot
own.
closer.
held our own.
It was closer on day 1, but we still bit the dust because Baden's a freaking wall.
Yeah. And then we played Syracuse again. We went 0-2 again against them. But I think we did a lot better the second time against them than we did the first time because we were starting to finally figure out the arena, synergize and work together.
Yeah, day 2, we finally were figuring out the arena, figuring out our synergy and all that fun stuff. But we were getting a lot better at arena control. We just could not outscore the team, like, at all.
Yeah.
We were doing pretty good, like, mid-game getting control of the arena. And then, like, towards the end, we just get pushed off again, and then they just completely destroy us. And that was pretty much every game for every team.
It's because we couldn't maintain tower with just scouts.
Yeah.
And we figured that out towards the end of the day, I guess. But
Yeah, when we saw Fox do it against us, and we were like, oh.
legitimately, the rest of the games up until those last few with Syracuse were just not good. Like we kept getting dumpstered, and it was just really demotivating and difficult. We were getting really frustrated. And then Luke did this thing where he walked up and he said, all right, I'm done letting you guys make your own decisions, and it's over. You're going here, you're going to do this, you're going to go here, you're going to do this. Our scouts ended up doing excellent. Luke started doing a lot of work from the tower. He had me running up and down green ramp like it was nothing, and then, like, we put Joe and Pint Size on resupplies still, and we just we came out of nowhere on Syracuse, and I think we barely lost the match by
I think it was like
We lost by 3,000. That was by far the best game we played. So far that entire tournament.
And then we played Detroit B again. And John can recount this
All right.
one.
Yeah, go for it, John.
All right.
Let's let John
So-
talk about Greenside.
This is the most triggering game that I have ever played of laser tag in my life.
It was my favorite.
It was my favorite to listen to.
This
I
is
don't know.
the
You
most
don't-
triggering.
You don't like games in our arena when I get set up in the big box.
Alright.
And we have someone in the fun box, and you're just like,
Yeah.
I can't do anything!
Yeah. All right. So this is what happened. What
He's like
Detroit B did was they like to try out a whole bunch of new strategies. And there's a place. There's the place in the arena. It was a little bit past the red base towards the green base in the maze on first floor. And there was literally just this giant wide open space with one entryway. There's no way to shoot from behind them. There's no way to come at them from the side. It was just, you could only hit them from the front. And they all went in there and just lined up a firing squad. 3 standing up, 2 kneeling, and then they had Spooky, their commander, go out and farm points.
See, that was not the
Alright.
original plan. We found out later, though. Spooky was just standing.
Let him finish the story.
But still, me and Josiah figured out where they were. Now, I didn't realize that every time, well, I mean I did, but in game I wasn't really focused on it. But I'd get zapped 5 times, like at the exact same time, so I'd lose 5 lives like instantly. And I tried pushing in a few times with Josiah, and Josiah was able to get enough points and just dropped a nuke. So what they all did is they all spread out across first floor and then came back to the exact same spot, created all these trails. But on their way back, D-Rock was their heavy, and he missiled me. That made me pretty mad. I got tagged. He reset off one of his scouts, I think, missiled me, and on my way back, like after he missiled me, I had like 8 lives left, and on my way back, they just juggled me the rest of the way when I was on my way to the resupplies.
That was when they dropped the nuke too, huh?
Yeah, they dropped the nuke. They dropped a nuke right after you dropped yours, and then D-Rock missiled me. On my way back to the resupplies, I got juggled and eliminated in the first like 4 minutes of the game. I scored 2K and that was it, and I was so salty because I couldn't literally could not do anything. I just got juggled.
He was-
Like,
Go ahead.
I really want to recount the rest of it. Then, Turkey and I got some hardcore revenge. This is the most magical thing ever. I came down all angry because I saw John walking out, just like his pack up in the air. I could feel like the Charlie Brown, like black lines coming out of his head. Like he just was not having a good time. So I came downstairs. Turkey drops a nuke. They're all hiding in the very back corner. And I just kind of step around. They're all pinned against the wall with me blocking the only exit, and they all just glow rainbow all at the exact same time. And I'm up, and I'm blocking the exit. And so they all just like, some of them run, and some of them just sort of start walking away, while I just get like 5 tags and a missile off on them all. It was probably a Heavy's biggest dream, so thank you for giving me that, Turkey.
It was a really good feeling. But I will say one of the best feelings was walking outside of that game and seeing John jumping up and down yelling, I am so triggered. That was the worst game. Oh my gosh.
dying 4 minutes into that game against Detroit B was the most triggering thing.
He could not control himself. He was jumping up and down. He was like, this is so messed up. Like, that was ridiculous.
From the resupply perspective, Pint Size and I were standing on green ramp, and we weren't hearing anything. Like, we were hearing tags go out occasionally. We didn't hear any communication, so we were just kind of like, what's going on? And eventually we hear a scream go out, scouts out, scouts out, scouts out. And Pint Size and I look at each other and go, really? Who died already? And Baden is standing at the top, and he goes, does your scout know every time he ran into the death wall he lost 5 lives? And Pint Size and I look at each other and go, there's a death wall? And she looks at me and she goes, we're not going downstairs. I was like, oh no, we're not.
Yeah, you guys stayed upstairs because me and Josiah that entire beginning of the game, like the first 3 minutes, were like, hey, they're not in red ramp. where are they? Like, we tried to push in and they just were gone.
All right, so I saw this from their perspective one game because I subbed for Wolfman one game with Detroit B, and they were like, all right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to all stay down here under the blue base, and we're all going to get full. We're just going to let them have both sides and be confused. And sure enough, we all got about 2 resupplies, and by then they'd worked their way over to Green Ramp, and they were just like screaming at each other because they couldn't find us. It was so funny. Like, Spooky and I were laughing really hard. And then their idea was to just kind of siege Red Ramp from the bottom after we all got gas, and then just like go and push them back over to Green, and then I guess kind of just hold out from there. And the problem was that they weren't very good at sieging.
Well,
So
Red Ramp
they
is
didn't
broken.
they didn't let us get up the Red Ramp, and kind of just fish in a barreled us on the first floor, which, by the way, that arena the floor is lava. Like, you don't go on the first floor unless you want to die or get bases.
Quote Joe.
Yeah.
Quote Joe.
Yeah. The resupplies should never be on the floor unless you're going to get the enemy base.
There should be a nuke protecting you when you're on the bottom floor. Like,
Nope. Otherwise, you are going to suffer.
Like Venom did.
That was funny. I'm gonna go get red base. Why are you gonna go get red base? Because I can't. It's kind of a great time. Why? Wait, Venom! Peyton looks at me. Did he just go to get red base? Yeah. Isn't he your medic? Yes. Why didn't you go with him? Because what am I gonna do?
Not let him die?
He came back. He's like, yeah, I lost a life, and then I remembered I was the medic. And I was like, did you at least get red base for it? He's like, no. I was just like,
Venom.
It was so fun playing with him, though. But then we still won that 2-2, or 2-0 again. So we were basically 4-16, right?
Yeah, the only team we beat during the rounds like that were Detroit B. Then the Elam started.
That's when the fun really happened.
And we shifted into high gear.
We got to play the Mercenaries again to start the bracket. And
We got waffle style.
I think we went 1-1, but we lost by about 2,000 points, if I
Yeah.
remember right. So
We lost the match, but we beat them our second game.
Yeah, so we got put into the losers bracket, and Detroit B lost to Syracuse, I want to
Yes.
say. And so they got put into the losers bracket above us. So we were hoping we'd get to meet up with them again, but we felt like it was kind of unlikely. And so day 2 ended there after actually Syracuse played Geddon, and then
Once.
Detroit A played the Mercs.
John, pull up the matches on your phone,
Yeah.
because there's PDFs of everything that went down.
Yeah.
Syracuse played, Syracuse played against Geddon, and then Detroit A played against the Mercs.
Okay.
And
The Mercs got elimed on the first one and then forfeited, I think, didn't they?
so Detroit, this was Jesse's last day as their captain. Jesse just didn't even want to be a part of the tournament anymore. He was just freaking out about how bad his team was and how they just did not even win a game and how his players weren't improving, quote unquote. And so they just completely forfeited their match against Geddon. And then, they just completely forfeited their match against Detroit A. Detroit A then went on to play against the Mercs. The Mercs had just, who did the Mercs just beat?
They beat us.
The
Mercs beat.
And then I think
Detroit A and Geddon had a bye, I thought, because they were the top 2 seeds.
Yeah, no. So the Mercs beat us in the first round.
so they went on to face either Armageddon or Detroit
They
A.
played Geddon.
So Geddon knocked them down into the losers bracket. And then
Detroit A and Syracuse played first then too.
Yeah,
they
so
knocked
Geddon
Syracuse into the losers bracket as well.
knocked the Mercs into the losers bracket, where Detroit B played them.
And
But
then
that was
that
Now
was
we can
weird.
talk about Wolfman.
So-
Well,
I guess
wait.
we should just go to
Yeah.
the next thing.
So I subbed for Detroit B that game as a scout, and that's when Wolfman came too, right?
Yep.
That's when Wolfman played heavy,
and then I subbed for Mercs the second game as a medic.
They were not prepared for Wolfman.
Ooh.
He came out like a beast. He was there heavy. He was Detroit Beast heavy. And Joe, our Panda, was commander. And man, Wolfman just was not letting Joe do anything.
Let me just explain really quick. Wolfman was not pleased with Jesse's decision to forfeit their matches.
So he took over Detroit B.
So-
we're playing.
Jesse got vetoed off the team, basically, and Jesse was like, I don't care, I don't want to play anymore anyways. And then Wolfman was like, alright, I'm your captain now, and here's how this is going to work.
Look at me. I am the captain now.
Exactly.
Pretty much.
And then he just, like, looks at the situation, he says, okay, alright, we're going to beat the Mercs, awesome. And then he goes in, plays heavy, and then he just completely raffle stomps on their 3 shots.
Well, it's kind of funny. The first match, I was subbing in for the Mercs medic, and they kind of played trolley positions, like Panda went scout, and so did his brother, and I think they were just kind of messing around. And they still won by like a couple thousand.
But that ultimately is what wound up costing them, because when they flipped, and then I took over medic for you because you hurt your knee, Wolfman just stomped them from the red side.
And they even played their primary positions, and Wolfman just killed them. Panda didn't even get above like 4K, I don't think.
And so what happened was, I think because of that, Detroit B, I think, won by like 1,000 points, just because they won that second game by just enough to take the match by 1,000 points.
They won by...
Well, okay, so their heavy and their commander was not defending their resupplies at all. Both the heavy and commander were going out and trying to attack the resupplies, and Wolfman was denying them that opportunity. While I went in and was getting resupplies. I remember the heavy, Brett. Seriously, he came back for resupplies, got like 2 resupplies. I got him down, and as I was running past him to go get his resupplies, he's like, go for it. Like, he encouraged me to go and attack his resupplies. They were kind of done with that game. They realized they couldn't get past Wolf. So...
Yeah. So
That
Detroit
was
B
fun.
upset them, actually, which was nice. But what were you going to say, Giselle?
So the seedings ended up looking a little bit gross. It had Detroit A in first, like, out of the round robins. Gedden in second. Syracuse in third. It was Mercs in third. Mercs were third. Syracuse was fourth. We were fifth. And then sixth was Detroit B.
No, Syracuse was third because they got to face Detroit B first.
Oh, that's right. Yep.
It was like a couple 100-point difference, though. It was ridiculously close.
It was close.
So anyways, that's when we got to face Syracuse.
Yeah.
This was our final stand.
To start this off, to be fair to him, Beans was actually kind of hurt. Because he's not used to going up ramps, so I think he said he had shin splints, right?
Yeah, shin splints. Basically, Beans could not run, and there was points in our games when he was hopping on 1 foot to get away from us, and he was not working at full capacity. So I want that to be fully disclosed before we explain.
The first game he was at
happened.
like 80% though. Like he was still.
He was still trying.
He dropped
tried
6
his
nicks.
hardest.
He dropped 6 nicks one game. Like, he was dropping multiple pentanukes.
Which just go to show how good of a player he is when he's hurt and can still do that.
But
Yeah.
then against us, I think I experienced 3 each game.
Yeah, 3 or 4.
It was 2 the second game and 3 the first game.
Okay.
Because in the second game, Stu canceled his nuke.
Ooh, that's right.
He was mad about that.
Just a bit. A little frustrated, for sure.
So Syracuse had the higher seeding, and they chose to take red first. And green's our weaker side. So we came in, we prepared ourselves. I'm actually just going to pull up the scorecard real quick.
We did not have pint size for this either.
So we took.
She accidentally
Venom.
slept in.
Yeah, we took Venom as
Oh,
our
boy.
other supply.
Yeah.
For both these sets, he's going to be Merc 2 on the list when we
Let's
post
see.
it. Or he might be Merc 1.
Bam.
Which is, so that's another thing for tournaments. Whenever you play for another team, you can't log your card because it messes with your statistics. So he was playing as Mark 1, I believe. He might have played as Venom
There
Nom
was
just
a couple
because
times that he played as his own card.
just because he wasn't playing medic anyways, so there's almost no way he was going to get MVP medic. Plus the MVP voting was already done, so he couldn't gain any MVP points towards medic.
I straight up did not take a picture of the first game,
Okay.
but Syracuse,
It was close, I remember that.
they really hurt us. They got us
They
down
beat
by
us-
like 6,000.
They beat us by 6,800. Beans had scored 8,700. I had 9,000. And then Fox followed him up with 7,000. Or no, it was Evil who had 8,200.
That's a
Like,
scout.
they were massacring us on green. But we came in on red side, which was our stronger side, and we knew that if we were gonna have any chance of surviving and going to the next round, we had to do a seriously hard victory over them. And we were not expecting what happened next, because at this point, our highest game against Syracuse was down by 3,000 points. And we really had only beaten Detroit B at this point. Everyone else had beaten us. But we went in and we gave it our all. And I just gotta hand it to the team. You guys went out and you controlled the entire tower and back corner. I got full and I came out to tower. You guys were just like pushing down the ramp. They really did not have much pressure on us the whole game.
I walked downstairs right under green and I ran into Memosaurus and I was like, oh hey, I'm gonna double. And he's like, oh, okay. And then he just runs upstairs and I double nuked and then you came around the other corner. And so you just sandwiched their resupplies. Assassin comes
Yeah.
downstairs and I was just like, woo! Like it was just bad. They got super routed. They never found their resupplies again. And
Yeah,
it was
And
just
Assassin just
Assassin-
Yeah, Raz died out of the game while Assassin was still alive.
Yeah, and so Assassin actually had a really big problem with Assassin because he's the kind of player where
he is fast.
he doesn't want to die, and he's so fast that he can cross. I think he crosses the arena faster than he realizes, but that gets him cut from his team so much. And there was one game we were reffing where I watched him run from his team. Fox got to 2 lives as the heavy, and Assassin's at 1, and he is hiding, and he's well hidden. They don't know he's there from the enemy team, and they're screaming for Assassin to come to them. And Assassin literally just can't respond to them because if he does, the enemy team is going to turn around because they were like 5 feet from him at all times. They just didn't bother to check that corner for some reason. And so so Fox winds up dying. They finally kill Assassin off of the nuke. And it was just, Syracuse was just having problems with their resupply staying together. Stu was almost never with Assassin. Assassin just kind of, I felt was really flighty, so.
regardless, in game 2, there were a lot of really clutch plays by everyone. They tried giving Dylan some bad penalties, Dr. Feelgood, and he contested the butts out of them and did super well on that.
Yeah, what
contested
happened
the penalty
was-
I got too.
What I was gonna say is that when the game ended, we ended up being only 6.2k ahead of them, which wasn't enough. But we had 4 penalties on us, and it turns out that 3 of them were false.
We're garbage.
And we got Joe's reset by confirmation from Fox. We got Dylan's reset by confirmation from Shayla. And we got mine reset by confirmation of Baden. And Bean's penalty was stuck by confirmation of Baden, which barely gave us the victory and moved us on to the next round. And we were completely appalled, just
We
as
knocked
much
them-
as Syracuse was.
We knocked them out of the
We knocked them out of the tournament.
They placed dead last.
And like we said,
No, they didn't. Mercs were last.
Mercs lost to the lowest seed, so they
Mercs
took
lost to
6.
the lowest seed, so they
Mercs
lose.
lost. Yeah, so it was Mercs,
we knocked them to
Syracuse,
5th.
then
And so the
Then
2 upsets
Bean,
back to
then
back
us.
were huge because suddenly 5 and 6 are playing each other for 3 and 4.
Than anything getting. So the one that got called on me, when I told Baden about it, he was just like, "You what, mate?" Because one of their players, I think it was Evil, straight up told the ref to penalize me, and Baden was not happy about that. He was like, "I don't care if you blind fired or not. Like, you don't tell a ref to penalize somebody, and the ref does not penalize you after being told. Like, that's not cool."
Yeah, because then it's not the ref giving you the penalty, it's the player.
Right.
And so But mine was,
Baden
what
was
happens
triggered.
was I was in zipper and I saw Fox go into red base, and so I just got as tall as I could and I leaned so my shoulder was out the window and I fired down at Fox, so I had 2 targets to him. And the ref right in front of me, who didn't even see the angle, was like, "You're blocking your shoulder," and shot me. And I just looked at him and I went, "How am I blocking? My gun's like in front of me. It's not beside me in front of my shoulder." And so I talked with them, and then afterwards I walked up to Fox and I went, "Hey, was there any problem with the shot?" And Fox was like, "I had no problems with it. It looked perfectly legal from where I was when I saw you." And I was like, "Cool." And so Baden just instantly dropped it because Fox had no problem with it. So
Their resupplies could not stay together. I baited an accidental nuke cancel. Stu was watching up on top of Green Ramp where I came in because I heard Beans activate his nuke, and I wanted to come around and just tag Beans down. But when I came around to tag Beans, Stu tried to tag me, but since he was the ammo and Beans was in the way, he accidentally tagged Beans. And so Stu canceled Beans' nuke, and I got a reset onto Beans and Stu, and I just started juggling them off of it.
is that what the tilt was that I heard from the other side of the arena?
I thought there was a loud scream from Beans.
Yeah, that was the game right there. He was done.
That
There's a
the
loud
ender.
scream from Beans in a lot of games.
His scream heard round the world.
He's got a good voice.
Beans, the magical
Beautiful
fruit. The
voice.
more he shoots, the more he nukes.
No, I really feel
Oh,
bad
gosh.
because he was not being able to play full capacity with his injury, and I know he could have recovered from even that if he wanted to at full skill.
But so we wound up
But that was not
winning,
the case.
and then we go on to play Detroit B. And honestly, in my opinion, it was so much different now that Wolfman was on their team.
Dude, Wolfman changed that team.
And then Rachel showed up, so we took Pint Size back instead of Venom. And so it was me on medic and Pint Size on ammo instead of me on ammo and Venom on medic. And that was a brawl. We got to pick seed, and I think we chose.
Yeah, I went ahead and I chose green or
green?
weaker side first.
Yeah, that way we could see what we
Yeah.
had to overcome, and then.
I told the team we wanted to play for arena control and just try to match their score. And we
was
still
rough.
outscored them. We
It
did
was
really
rough.
well, but here's what happened. I want to explain why I died with no bases. I was at 7 lives, and I think both scouts were back at the moment. Maybe one of you was coming out. But then suddenly Fear Turkey comes back behind me, and I'm the only one out, and he says I'm nuking. And we had pushed all of them into yellow corner. So I think, okay, I'm just going to go tag a few of them while the nuke goes off, and then I'll go back for resupplies. Sequence of events is they all go down. I tag a few of them. Wolfman gets me down. One of the scouts gets me down as I'm running back. I arrive at the resupply area, and I'm like, Joe, I need it, because I'm at 4. And then, instead of Joe being there, Spooky comes out from behind the wall and tags me twice. Now I'm at 3, and I run away, and he makes the excellent decision of nuking while Joe is out on a base run.
Yeah, Rachel was like, "Okay, well, we'll just decide to get dropping this nuke. Then we're gonna go for a base run."
No, that was your call, buddy.
She said that was right.
No, that was your call, buddy. She was the one who was like, this might... I don't know about this, but then she was like, alright, I guess, because you were like, let's go get bases if it's a double. And then you guys went downstairs, and then Luke died. And I was like, ooh.
It was bad choices all around, but we still ended up with a 3,000 point lead.
Ugh, that was such a hard game.
Second game.
I ran so much.
Second game went a lot differently.
Yeah, that went a lot smoother, I feel.
We were up by like 10K that game.
That penalty was so janky.
So, and then, so we had Pint Size playing basically almost battle ammo
She was doing so good on ammo.
because we got to a point where we had pretty much full control. So I was sitting almost at the top of red where my shoulders aren't showing on either side, so like my eyes are barely over, and I'm watching the window coming up red ramp to see if anyone's trying to flank us that I don't see, and she's just off fighting with people, and then occasionally being like, "Hey, tag so and so in the window," and then I lean up, tag them, and then go back to watching. And so it was just we had a lot more control. It felt like that
Yeah, we simply just do a lot better on red for whatever reason. We have a lot more fun taking control of the tower and poking from the windows.
It's a lot easier to push into green from the top. And yeah, pushing from the bottom of green is terrible if you're not a 3-shot.
Even if you are a 3-shot, it's terrible.
It is. But you did have some perfectly timed nukes, Josiah. I cannot tell you how many times I ran up green a couple times, trying to push up green. They get me down, I go back to the bottom, I do it a couple times, and then all of a sudden I'd see rainbow packs and I'd be like, oh, go! I'd run up to green and I'd get their resupplies like 2 times while they're running up, and then they would push back down and I'd get their resupplies again. But eventually their stupid heavy would come, just push me out.
Dang it, Wolfman.
Yeah.
But it was beautiful watching that from the tower. There was a point where I saw Turkey at the top and I saw Dr. Feelgood at the bottom of the ramp around the elbow, and I could just tell there were like 3 teammates between the 2 of you just getting completely destroyed, and I was just so proud being your sniper from the tower.
The ref that was standing on top of green was shaking his head the entire time that I was fighting that game. He was like, I can't believe they're letting you do this to them, and I was just like, I can't believe it either, but it's working. And I basically just bum rushed the heck out of them and just continuously was just abusing trails and the fact that they were too afraid to let their heavy go down for a few seconds. It created a lot of adverse situations is all. And they weren't really adaptable to new kinds of commander attacks. What they were used to is, okay, he's coming in from top, okay, get him down, push him out, kind of thing.
But there was one tragic mistake we made that game. Dr. Feelgood didn't get neutral base.
Again.
I think you missed 14 bases throughout the tournament.
Probably more than that.
Yeah.
I hate that arena.
We played well over 30 games, and he didn't get both bases probably in more than half of those.
Yeah.
Which is rough. It's not even his fault. It's just the bottom floor is just terribly set up.
If you heard 1 minute remaining and you didn't have the enemy team's base, you weren't getting it.
No, it was such a long run.
The arena is
It's at least
literally
15 seconds from one floor to the other.
I'm gonna say it's 3 or 4 times bigger than the Loveland arena.
It's about twice as big.
It's
so
twice
close.
as big space-wise. It's just the fact that there's so many zippers and walls and stuff that you just can't move through it quick enough.
It's the same.
Definitely felt like it was 3 or 4 times bigger.
It's the same amount of running space. Ours is just more tall. Theirs is just long.
Ours
Yeah.
doesn't make you do zigzags every time you go down a hallway.
It's grindy.
Yeah, no, me and Dylan were talking. We're gonna be
brutal.
bolting past everything in our arena because we had to deal with all those walls.
And anytime I start to feel myself slow down and get a little bit more lax with our own arena now, I'm just gonna remember that and just get mad and just be zippers!
So we wound up beating them, and so we secured at least 3rd place. So we go on to beat Detroit, or try and play and beat Detroit.
Go on to beat Detroit.
Yeah, we go on to
You're
play
funny.
Detroit
That is so
A,
funny.
who had just lost to Geddon. And so we play them, and they opt for green side first. It's basically to do what we
They gave
did.
us our good side first.
They wanted to
kind
see-
of insult to injury.
They wanted to see what lead we could build with the good side, and man,
Spoiler
it went
alert, we didn't.
bad.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
Hey,
They lost that game.
Dr. Feelgood redeemed himself though. He survived as the only member of our team with 1 life.
Yeah.
And he got both his bases.
He got
You got
both
both your bases. You survived. You were
Oh, yeah.
30 seconds. You became the last member alive with 1 life.
I
It
got,
was so
I got a
funny.
penalty
I
that
dabbed. As soon as the game ended, I dabbed in front of Wolfman and he just started laughing.
game. I got a penalty that game.
Cheating
I was-
scum.
Cheating
Okay.
scum.
Oh, there'll be a funny joke about that later. Don't worry.
What?
So no, you'll.
No,
you
My
and
Little
I'm
Pony,
referencing, don't worry.
Shayna or whatever.
No.
It was-
I'm not talking about you.
Well,
You'll
oh,
understand.
Okay.
So we go to play them the second time, and I think Luke was kind of just like, I don't think we're gonna win, but we're gonna try something new.
Josiah really wanted to play heavy, and I had a heart, so I went commander. And You know what? I got tilled down to 1 life, so I'm pretty okay with it.
That was
And then
such a bad game, too.
You flipped me and Dr. Feelsgood. So Dr. Feelsgood played medic and I played scout. And
I saved you from Baden's missile with my nuke.
you did. You saved me from one of the 4 missiles
yeah,
I
we
took
had
from
such
Baden's
a good
Save you,
game.
Joe.
You took
Yeah.
4 of Baden's missiles?
Yeah, so the first one I took to the back,
Joe.
and then he reset evil to missile me twice while I was in tower, because I couldn't dodge him while I was in the tower,
Why didn't you just run?
because I was running the entire
Be
time.
on the
like-
opposite end of the arena from Baden.
Because
That's just how
Baden
you
is
beat
Michael
Baden.
Myers. No matter how fast you run, he will walk faster.
Yeah. And so those windows in the tower are really brutal, and I knew that, but I was thinking that the first time I thought I was lower than I was, and so that just kind of boned me. And then Evil was just like, you can do it again if you really want to, because he was standing on Green Bridge. And for the life of me, I have no idea why no one was attacking Green Bridge. Because I was watching, I heard Luke on Red Bridge fighting Terrell and Venom, and I'm just like, okay, well, if I've got Evil and Baden and Terrell and Venom are right there, first of all, where's Mimosaurus? Second of all, where's Fear Turkey? I was just like, I don't understand.
I was
I
getting
was-
yelled at too because I kept trying to leave.
I was
Yeah.
trying to push up.
It's kind of a
from the
tight
bottom.
leash.
I was trying to push up from the bottom of red.
So I think eventually Baden got done toying with me, and then I took tower from them by myself against Terrell and Evil, until finally they were like, Venom, we need you to help us. And Venom came in with Evil, and there was just pretty much nothing I can do in that kind of small corner. So I finally just booked it back to my resupplies, and man, we had a fun time. And
Real
then,
fun.
And then I got frustrated because we were having problems doubling. I left. I started 1v1ing Evil again, and then I 1v2'd him and Terrell again. And then I just kind of got to a point where I was like, hey, if I don't go back to resupplies to get doubles, I'm going to start dying. And I ran back, and thankfully, finally, the only person there was the heavy. And he was like, yeah, I'm good. And so I went down and we were doing doubles. I was like, oh, all right, this is salvageable. And then the nukes started, and it just kind of went bad.
And then we died.
And then we died. Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
That was game 2. And the end of our tournament, we placed 3rd.
Which is still pretty good.
We were projected 5th seed coming out of rounds, and we were projected to just end in 5th. Nobody thought we were going to be able to do better than that. But we did a huge upset against Syracuse because he was hurt. And honestly, I'm still super psyched for Detroit B. Like, the fact that they beat the Mercs was nuts.
Yeah.
And we got really lucky that we got placed against Syracuse, because that was the team that we were probably more comfortable with playing against.
Yeah, the Merc team was squashing us every time we faced them, so we were kind of happy that Wolfman was able to come in and do some
But then,
major
so
upset.
To end the tournament, Detroit A, after beating us, goes back up against Gedden and wins the first match. They have to play a second one because technically Gedden is now in the losers half of the bracket, and now they're actually playing for first and second. And I think Gedden, I don't know what happened, but it
6
feels like
games
Gedden just
later.
flipped his switch, they flipped their switches on.
After 2
But,
injuries.
Yeah, so the first game ends with an injury because Paul got hurt. I don't remember what his code name was, but he basically goes down on a ramp.
Sprained his ankle, we think.
Yeah, and then the second game of the first game of the second match, Juan and Ghosty just nail one another, and Ghosty's glasses go flying. His lens comes off, and Juan gets winded, and so they end the game immediately, just because Ghosty's now in danger. Juan is now basically not hurt; he can recover from that, but
He threw his pack off.
he needed to take a breather at least. So they ended the game. It did only have 2 minutes, so they called that game where it was, and then they played the final match. And man, it was
intense.
It was, from what we were watching outside, it was intense. And ultimately, Gedden wound up winning. And so it was.
Getting elimed them. You're making it sound like they barely pulled it out. Like they elimed.
Yeah.
I was
Detroit
wrestling
A.
that game.
That-
okay?
It was
It
brutal.
was also
Their medic
because
was-
their medic messed up.
I'm taking over this one, okay? So, I was watching Green Ramp this entire time. I'm literally standing next to their resupplies. Detroit A has complete control over the game. Venom is a nuke and a half up on Scythe, or on Micro. Baden is keeping Scythe completely useless through the tower and is just like pecking people just from green ramp. They're just getting full. Suddenly, red has this really strong push and like shoves the green resupplies all the way downstairs. Baden pushes them out, calls up his resupplies. His ammo comes upstairs, but his medic essentially was like, I don't want to come upstairs. And for about 2 minutes, they were sitting there screaming for their medic to come upstairs, and they couldn't get resupplies because he was just refusing to resupply them. He was refusing to come upstairs. He literally single-handedly destroyed their game. Like, they ran out of lives, and they just started getting elimed before he even died.
Baden got elimed. Like, that was a huge deal. Everyone's like, Baden's out, Baden's out, Baden's out.
Alright,
That was
I'm
his
done.
first elim, I
I'm done
think.
playing.
Yeah.
When you break Baden, when you break the wall, suddenly like everything else just falls apart for their like.
Yeah.
They didn't even break the wall.
Yeah.
The medic
was just
fix
like,
the wall.
I'd rather play Forgetting. And so he just like joined the enemy team. It was a 5v7 and they didn't have lives.
So there's not much to do. But that was the final game. It was fun. And then the awards ceremony began. And so, do we want to talk about where we all finished, or do we want to just talk about who got what?
I think the only people who are important who got the awards.
You know what?
Yeah.
Alright, so here we go. So since the only people that are important that got awards, Mischief earned 3 awards that tournament.
My boy.
He got the Sportsmanlike Award. Sportsmanship, sorry.
Very sportsmanlike.
He got the bomb diffuser for canceling the most nukes, and then he got Dirty Dirty Cheater for having the most penalties in the tournament.
Which is ironic because he got the sportsmanship award.
I was always really nice to the refs who penalized me, and I asked why, and I admitted that I was a dirty, dirty cheater.
He had 12 penalties in 2 days.
7. I had
12 penalties in 2 days. You had 7 in 1 day.
No, I had a total of 9.
I thought you ended the day with 12.
I ended the entire tournament with 9 penalties.
Which was the most, and then I had the second most at 6, and somebody else had 6. You did.
Loveland.
You had 6.
I had 4.
Oh,
I had
Oh no, Micro had 6.
I had one
Yeah,
because of
Micro
that
was
side
getting
trail
up
one
there.
that I did by accident.
Micro and I tied for second most penalties.
That's because Micro's a loud cusser.
Yeah,
He's got a lot of bad words to say and all at you.
And if he didn't honestly swear as much, he probably wouldn't have ever been penalized. 'Cause he's very clean
He swore
otherwise.
directly at me when I was reffing, which
Ooh,
He
that one
pushed
was
you.
bad.
yeah, he straight up
you,
pushed
which
me off to
got
the
one
side and
penalty.
told me bad things and
Yeah.
told me bad.
He
And-
whispered in my ear.
Is he gonna keep you up at night from the
Did you
mean
look
things
at
he
him
said
and then
to
look
you?
at Baden and say, I need an adult?
I mean, I probably should have done that. But after he did that, the initial reaction of mine was like, "Oh crap, sorry, I'm in your way." But then I was like, "Wait, he
I
just
should have penalized you.
should-
for that.
Wait, I'm a ref.
and then he turned the corner. And I was like, "Crap, I'm gonna have to talk to them about this after game."
Baden Bliss.
Well, no,
Baden, I need
Beans
adult.
was head ref that
Baden's
game.
dad.
Beans was head ref.
Beans was head ref that game. I was like, "Hey,
Beans' dad,
Beans."
too. Hey, Beans.
Micro said mean things to
Micro's
me,
being mean.
and he's like, "Ooh, ooh, does it again? That's a 5,000 point penalty." We're like,
Yeah,
"Ooh."
because it's an increasing one.
Beans
it's not
was
one
like
that goes from
bad.
1 to 2 to 3 to 4.
Well, it was kind of up to John about whether or not he wanted it to be a 5,000 or a 1,000. But the problem with reffing against those teams,
Oh my god,
Is-
stop driving door to door.
Yeah.
Almost swore. Sorry.
it's just like if you make the call to be like, yeah, it's a 5,000 point. He literally pushed me into the wall and said nasty things to me. Like you can't do that to a ref, especially when they really don't want to be there. And like they're doing it because it's part of the tournament, not because they want to ref. Like it's just that's like the suckiest part.
I did not want to give him a 5,000 point penalty. Here's the thing. That was my first tournament, and Micro I've heard legends about. I did not want to piss off one of the legends.
So here's the thing about reffing that type of team. is if you give them that 5,000 point, they will not let it go, and they will find you after game. They know exactly who you are, and they will get in your face about how they disagree.
Yeah.
But you can't be scared because in the end, we're all just here to have a good old time.
I'm going to flip if one of these semis does not pass the other.
This one's being a tool.
Hey, I
'cause
want to
he's not
point out
letting it over.
something before we sign off here.
Alright.
I only got one penalty during elims. I was a good boy when it mattered.
Good boy when it mattered.
Good job. And it was against Syracuse.
Yeah.
You cheating scum.
I have a game right here for your turkey.
That's still
During
20.
elims.
That's still 25% ratio, man. I had a dirty one. That one was against Wolfman. I accidentally pop shotted him around the corner.
Feel like not.
All right, let's just really quick compare these scores, okay? 11,182 with the penalty, and then let's look at yours when you got your penalty here.
Oh, no, I don't.
Where are you?
Which penalty?
Hold on.
This guy's
Oh, I got a penalty right.
The one with the 3.
The
'cause
3 penalties?
You had 2
Last
penalties.
one right here?
You had 2 yeah, this guy.
But only one of them was legit.
Yeah, so let's add 1,000. So you had 6,642. All right. So
Hey, guess what? I was heavy.
yeah, man. Except that game, you were taking over tower. You were beating on people.
I'm not gonna hate on you because you were doing really good on heavy, but if you look at some of Baden's score, he scores like 10K as heavy.
Okay, I'm gonna show you something. Ready? This is our final game against Detroit A. This was game A on our good side. Fear Turkey got 5,000 points.
Oh yeah, you rocked me on that one. But I would also like to point out,
Bad side, I got 8,000 points.
do you know why I wanted to play heavy? Because I had just done like 30 verticals and I was done. I jumped those walls so many times to help you guys into tower against Cuse, and I was like, oof, I'm done.
Baden only scored
a lot
8K
of jump
that game.
shots.
That's all.
Man, it's like 4,000 points down from his average.
Yeah, his average is ridiculous.
He definitely deserved the MVP,
Oh, yeah.
but that was kind of East Coast in a nutshell. We're on our way home.
We're like 4 hours out,
Yeah.
so
I
yeah.
really want to say that even though we're giving each other a hard time, we won this because we all put our egos aside and actually worked together, and we're willing to take victories for the team and not for our own personal scores.
We miss you, Caleb.
But did we win?
But did
No.
we win?
No.
No.
But did we
No.
take 3rd?
We won the ones that matter.
But did I predict 3rd?
No. You said
I
second.
predicted first.
We're taking it. Next time. I'll be right one of these days.
WCT.
Give me 5 years and I'll be right once.
Dude, bet on WCT.
All right.
Bet.
I quit.
Goodbye.